Good afternoon and good morning and good evening, perhaps. Well, hello and welcome, fellow 3D enthusiasts. I'm thrilled that you could make it. I'm so glad you're here. Hello, Steve. Hello, Joe. Hello, Rod. Hello, Julia. And hello, everyone else who's watching out there and looking at what's going to happen on Jay's desk today. Yes, I wonder if Christina's going to make it later. She might be. I've spoken to her earlier. I did a premiere earlier today on YouTube. That was very nice. Spoke to Dreamlab. He might be around. He had a bit of a downer on DAS and said, hey, actually, I need a break. And now he's ready to get his fingers dirty again with DAS Studio. Sometimes you just need a break from these things. I totally understand that. I like using different pieces of software and just seeing, which one floats my boat on a given day. And yesterday we did these amazing advances in Carrara. So that was really nice, doing a bit of animation in Carrara. And I have an overnight, I've actually got two things to show you. One is the one that we made yesterday, which is a render I kicked off, and I've assembled it already, so we can have a look at that. And the second one was a slight tweak that I've made just after that render, that I also had render overnight. Didn't actually take that long, and I didn't get a chance to assemble that yet, so I'm gonna have a look at that, assembling it. I'm gonna use Photoshop today, because I feel like it. And we'll have a look at what the tweaks look like, and then make more tweaks, and see what else we can figure out in Carrara. There we go. Let's get right on with it. First of all, let's look at yesterday's animation. Let's do that. I believe that's in here. And that's, I believe, in here. Oh, no, that's not in here, is it? Huh. Oh, did I delete that? I believe I accidentally deleted. Can you believe it? It's one of those things. I've deleted it from my other computer. I shouldn't have done that, really. So let's go just bring that back. And then, of course, the big thing is which verb, where is it? I'm pretty sure I've compiled it earlier and I looked at it. So many pieces of the urban future animation that have been rendered here. And those are AVIs. That's also not it. I wonder where that is then. Is that on my render node? One of those things. Yes, Julia is here. She's playing a bit of Fortnite right now. She's just finished work. I've just finished work. That's why I'm a bit late. That is bizarre. These are not them. This is also not it. And in the other folder... Oh, there we go. This is it. I haven't deleted it. I'm glad I haven't deleted it. So this is... Was this what we made yesterday? 30 seconds? No, see, that's not quite right, is it? It technically is what we did yesterday. It's just not playing back at the correct speed. It should be twice as fast, of course. I mean, this looks nice, but it should be twice as fast. I think that was the plan. I mean, it does look nice. It has that kind of dreamy feel to it. And now it loops. So, not bad. Oh, that's good to know. Thank you so much, Steve. That's going to be exciting. Yeah, sometimes these short videos and quick explanations are really useful, and if we share them publicly with people, that's nice. So I think it's okay. It's working out okay, but it's just not as fast as I had imagined it to be. I would have thought it's twice as fast, but it's probably because this is now playing it back in 30 frames a second, or kind of at half the speed. That's an easy fix. We can fix that. But there's a couple of things that I'd like to do differently. One is that my logo doesn't have any color. It's just a plain gray, and it appears to be slightly blue only because it's got this underwater effect on it. So I'm going to color that in. In fact, I have already colored it in according to the 3D Shenanigans colors. And the second thing I've noticed actually just after I kicked this animatic off yesterday was that the water effect wasn't animating. So I saw all these little white spots in the same place. So the logo was going through and the ball was animating, but the actual water effect was not animating. So just to make that happen, I turned the plane, the water plane. So that's just turning, and I think we can see that's a very simple effect. I mean, it's just turning, it's staying in the same position. I think I might want to swap that out with it actually traveling, you know, just slightly moving. I think I'd like to do that. And the third thing I can see here is that the plane that has the water effect on it isn't actually big enough. So if you look at the bottom right corner, you can see that there's a little corner that comes in every so often. And so that plane just needs to be made a little bit bigger. And then, you know, see that corner there on the bottom right? That's just, I think that is just that plane. It was either that, no, actually I'm lying. It's not the plane, it's the light. There is a light that's one is on the surface, one is at the bottom, and the bottom light, I believe that just ends there. And I think I got rid of that in that tweak, and it's that tweak that I've rendered, but we haven't had a look at it yet. So let's assemble it and have a look at it. Right, so I don't have to look in the waste paper basket anymore. I can just go and do this in Photoshop. I'll just open this as an image sequence. That's right, actually. There's something that happened on the overnight render, and that was that the render node that did the job didn't actually finish the job. So this is now in two parts. And it is it 30 frames a second? We'll have a look. Maybe I should have set 60. There we go. So we have part one, and part one kind of ends here. And then the node just stopped, so Carrara was just there endlessly saying, I'm sampling lighting, so that's bizarre. So I'll go and open another one, which is the second pass then, which I've added into a second directory just because Carrara has an issue with continuing the same animation in a second render pass unless you set some parameters up, and I just couldn't figure out, I couldn't remember how to do that, so. Hello Photoshop, are we, there we go, that's the spirit. And I've added this little rubber ducky in as well, so we'll see what that all looks like. I'll just go and copy these groups here. So that's, I'll just call that one take 2, and on my other one, if Photoshop lets me go in there, Photoshop. What, I can't switch to my other document anymore? What's going on here? That's bizarre. There we go, finally. This is going to be take 1. And I'll go and I'll copy, actually this is like the layer from take 1, it's layers, it's not groups, is it? So take 1, man, can't type today. And we're going to go and duplicate that layer into my other document, and then I can turn it into one sequence. That's the plan. There, now I've got those two, I don't need that anymore on document 1. And then I can go and oh, Photoshop was kind enough to do that already. Has it though? Rod, you're familiar with video editing in Photoshop, aren't you? I just need to bring these two guys in the other order. How do I do that most efficiently? I mean, I'm familiar with the timeline kind of thing, but how do I move? Is that as easy as it is? Well, that was it, was it? Oh, he's gone for coffee. Thank you so much, Joe. I think I've worked it out. It's the order of the layers that determines which one comes first, which one comes last. That's a bizarre way. Rod, that's a good idea for a tutorial once you're back from coffee. Basic video editing in Photoshop. There, let's go and export this quickly. Export render to video. I'll put that into underwater V2. Boom. He's gone for coffee. I'm sticking with my chamomile tea here because Christina has good news. She's not here, is she? No, Christina has good news. She is allowed to drink 2 coffees a day now. That's really cool. She said she was very happy about that. So she says she's spreading it out right now, 1 in the morning, 1 more in the evening. And it literally started for her, I believe, last night. So she's super happy about that she can have coffee again. You know, it doesn't matter the quantity. It's just nice for her to, you know, be able to do that. I like that. I very much appreciate that. Come on, Photoshop, render, do your best. "40 years, Joe. That's amazing. That is congrats. That's so cool." That is such a long time. But at the same time, don't you think it's kind of flown by? I mean, yeah, a lot has happened, and the mirror says there's a couple of wrinkles there, and the date on the birthday cake is kind of getting higher and higher. But at the same time, it's just, do you know what I mean? I can't believe that it's now mid going towards the end of February, and 2020 has just begun literally yesterday. Do you know what I mean? Underwater version 2, world premiere. Yeah, so it's the same thing. I should have maybe said 60 frames a second. So it's a little bit slow. We need to speed this up, but that's more a way of how I've compiled it. Yes, I think had I compiled this at 60 frames a second, it would have been better. So I'll do that next time. But other than that, you can see that the logo now has the colors. So that's nice. And the other thing I've added here is this little rubber duck. So there's a couple of things going on here. We animated the ball, we animated the duck, and I took the example of, this is the repeat now, I took the example of what we did there with the oscillation. So the ball isn't animated with the nonlinear tracks. It's literally just going and oscillating between 2 things, and I think that worked quite well. So we currently have the old keyframes and the new keyframes together, but I think if I just make that oscillation first of all a little bit faster, but just leave it as the oscillation. I've used the same technique for the duck. So the duck is having the same thing. It's basically 2 keyframes, one where the duck looks left, one where it looks right, and then I'm saying to the tweener, go and oscillate between these values, and that is how the duck then does this swimming motion. I like to see this at the correct speed here. So can I speed it up here? Don't know if this media player allows me to do that. I'll just have Photoshop export it again, or tweak the frame rate there in Photoshop. Maybe that'll work. That should somehow work, although I do not know how. Oh, wow, okay. Right. That's been a long time, Joe. And Rod. And no, Rod, I do not know why that is. Tell me about it. Speed, there we go. I can probably set that to, let's just say 200. That'll make it twice as fast. And then we just go export the whole thing again. Export, render to video in high quality. We're just going to call that, well, not so much untitled. We'll call it underwater version 3. This should be interesting, Rod. Tell me all about it. I like the idea of the rubber duck just because there's something, I don't know, I kind of like the idea. If I have played it back at the correct speed, then the animation is too slow. That is also a possibility. But it's easier to just leave the keyframes where they are and just see what it looks like at the correct speed instead. Underwater V3. So that's better. See if the duck's too fast or if the duck's... No, actually the duck's kind of okay. It's just that little splash of color. This is more how I had envisioned it. Oh my goodness, I can see that working. Just take the rubber duck and explain to her what the issue is and what we're trying to do. And oh my God, that is so funny. Do you know, when I used to do iOS programming, I had a similar tool at hand. Maybe let me get it for you. This is so exciting. I can't believe that. That is so exciting. I can't believe you said that, Rob, because the thing is, I had three little buddies. These used to be my coding buddies, and they are, it depends, kind of depends. These are little ninja things that Julia has knitted, and one of them, and I think they took it in turns. Did I have a favorite? I can't remember now. I think they took it in turns, and I think the black guy here, I think he was the one who had... Maybe I should do this for 3D. You guys can maybe join the show. So the idea was, one of them was with me by my computer, and it was kind of, even if I did it in my head rather than doing it out loud, there was always somebody who I could almost bounce ideas off. How interesting. And Christina, hello, welcome. That is exciting. Rod was just saying this thing about the rubber duck on coders' desks. I never knew about this. Well, from now on, you guys are going to be my 3D buddies. That's nice. So now I have 3D buddies that I can actually speak to. That's actually much nicer. So there we go. But yeah, awesome. Welcome to the show, ninjas. We're doing 3D stuff now. It's also exciting. Anyway, this is the animation that I've tweaked there yesterday, and I'll let you look at this a couple more times so you can kind of... Is it playing? Why is it... That's interesting. I can see on the return that it's just a white screen rather than what I'm actually seeing here. There we go. Now it's kicked in. Don't know why it took so long there. I never did anything. So you can make up your mind and see what you think about it. I have a few thoughts, and I'll share them with you. The poor chicken, Steve. What did the chicken ever do to you? Hey, if it helps. So I like the duck. I also like the speed of the animation, but I think what I want to have a look at is the fact that I like to change the first few keyframes of the ball. And I think I'd like to maybe have more movement in the ball. The ball itself moves from left to right as well. Perhaps I'll exaggerate that a little bit. I really like how the ball moves for the first few frames. So those are the keyframes that the guys have set up. And I'd like to try my hand at duplicating that and turning it into a non-linear clip that I can just go and repeat. The duck I'll leave alone. Did you notice that I've put an eye blink there in the duck? Let's see if we can see it. It only happens really fast. There we go. It blinks. It's only literally one frame, so it's barely noticeable. This duck is in Carrara, so I'm also seeing that the beak isn't quite attached to the duck. It's maybe a little bit too far in the front. I don't think I'm gonna change that. Yeah, the eye blink is barely noticeable. So I don't think I'll do anything about that. I'll just leave it as it is. So I think I'll have a look at the ball. And the only other thing I'm thinking of changing is that to get this water animation, these white ripples there, I'm just turning that plane that has this ripple effect on it. Instead of just turning it, I might just make it a bit larger and have it travel from left to right as well. I think that might be a nice touch. Or I could go the other way. I could move it left to right. I'm not sure. And Christina, I'm still thinking about you. I'm still having chamomile tea. I'm trying to have 1 coffee a day now. So just, you know, that you're not alone on your coffeeless journey there. That's my plan. That's my plan. Let's see how we can do all these things. I've read a little bit about those little non-linear blocks. I'll go close Photoshop down so that we have a bit more room to play with. Do you know, if you have it handy, we can always have another one in there. It was just an idea that I had about the rubber duck, because I thought maybe it's a nice idea to have something else going on in the animation. It's a little bit like, it's akin to the falling rocks we have on the little rover animation. It's more something I wanted to try out. Yeah, if you have it, then, you know, maybe I can put it in. It's always a thing with materials in Carrara, isn't it? Actually, before I start with this scene, let me just go and try these NLA blocks on a completely empty scene, because I've only read about it 5 minutes ago, how to do it. I know Phil Wilkes made a video about it, but I've never really, I haven't watched it in a while. So let me see if I get the basic principle right. I'll just go and use a primitive here and maybe make that a bit smaller. And perhaps I'll go get rid of the cages here as well. And maybe we'll start here. And I believe to begin with, we head over to animation and then we create an animation group. I believe that's the first step. Let me just see if it works. Buy a rubber chicken, how exciting. The group is now here. The group also contains a track. And I believe in the track, this is where we can create a piece that we can then turn into a master clip. And then eventually we'll put it into the NLA tracks editor, this thing here. And I think that is how we can kind of isolate this. But the keyframes, they'll still live in the sequencer for now, I think. Do I create, that's it, a new editable clip? I think that's how I do it. And I'll just call this one a test clip. Use custom time 2 seconds. Length 6, is that seconds, frames? Let's see what happens. Test clip editable, that's awesome. I can move it back and forth. I can extend it, make it smaller. That's also good. But how then? Do I need to put the sphere into the group? I think that's how it works, isn't it? Oh, the sphere's already in the group. I don't know, is it? I can't tell. The sphere goes on the track. Certain properties of the sphere go on the track? No, I'm just tapping in the dark. I just literally just read the manual, and I thought maybe that's gonna get us somewhere. Maybe to have something in there, I'll go and move the sphere to places. So it does something now, which, you know, that's a good idea. How do you mean write something? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, you mean in the chat, so that you have. Ah, I see. Hello, like that, right? That's it, right? That's what you meant. Here in the chat. Gotcha. Okay. Thanks. Let's see. That'd be kind of nice. Let's see what we can do there. I think Carrara can actually import the. Ah, there we go. Christina McKay has whispered something to me. All right. Nice. Oh, okay. So this is actually properly zipped. I should be able to install this with Install Manager. Is that right? Let's go and download. Little props. I like it. Have we downloaded it? Yes. Okay, good. Ah. All right. I'll take a look at that in a moment and I'll install it. That's a great idea. Thank you, Christina. So I've made that here. How do I now? How do I put something into that? Do I drag the keyframes? No, probably not. Do I just finish editing the clip? Okay, that's nice. What happens if I put the clip here? Does that do anything then? No. That's not really how it works, is it? I thought it'd be something obvious. Edit the clip. Now, how do we get things into the clip? Like whatever we do with the sphere here, for example. Does that not need to go on here somehow? I'm tapping in the dark. I don't know. Thank you so much, Steve. Oh, the rubber duck for Zinkau. Yes, I remember that rubber duck. Yes, I remember that. Very nice. We'll see if we can use that one instead. That might look a bit better. And also we'll see what the materials look like. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. This one, I show you this. This came with Carrara. It comes with a ton of objects. And I don't even remember where I found that now. Could be in props. Aircraft. Land and sea, was that it maybe? No. Medical mesh models, that could be. Mesh models, I think it was in here. And these are all really low poly objects that haven't been touched. This is equivalent to the Blender content that you get with each version of Blender. You get like models from 15 years ago and they're selling it to you as, hey, it's like awesome stuff, man. And sometimes it's nice for like really low poly animations. There we go. This is the duck I've used. So it doesn't look great. I did something to the eyes. The eyes itself were a little bit too close together, and it's just made from basic shapes. So I just put the eyes out to the sides because that looks more like a duck. So it's not anything, you know, vastly exciting. And I just dipped it into the water, and then I had it oscillate between looking this way and looking that way at the end, and then making those values oscillate just does this while the duck swims. And it's interesting, you can set a different tweener for each different axis. So I can have one that governs the left-right movement in the tweener, and then I can have a completely different one with the bobbing up and down. I believe I did that with the ball. Oh, you've got a new laptop. Look at that, Christina. That's exciting. So I can just go close this because I don't think I know how to use NLA blocks. So I'll just understand that for now, and then we'll carry on with this. Let me zoom out a little bit of the timeline. Oh yeah, this is yeah, so the duck doesn't begin to swim until a little bit later here. And this down here is actually the shadow of the duck. This inset here is the actual camera preview. And if we wanted to look at the duck and the plane too, that's the other thing. This is the plane, the kind of the darkish area here. I might just elongate that or make it bigger, and then instead of just turning it, I might also move that a little bit. But making it bigger also means I have to change the pattern on the ripple pattern. So something else I need to have a look at. And the sphere, I think I'm just going to go and get rid of the first keyframes here, which were great. They worked better, but when they change from one to the other, I think I'll just go and leave it with my way because that's scalable. And then we'll use Christina's rubber duck. That's exciting. Let me go and install that and see if and how I can make that work. Just coordinating two computers here. Bear with me, folks. That's it. Copy that. Copy that into the right directory as well, which is, in my case, remind me, the DAS install managers directory. That is, I believe, in public documents. Is it DAS 3D install manager? Is it in downloads? Is that where that is? Yeah, I think that's it. I'll go paste that in here. Oh yes, that's a good point. I could check that inside the install manager. That's a very good point. And now, in install manager, remind me, Christina, do I have to work offline for this? It doesn't really matter, does it? There should just be in ready to install. That's the plan, isn't it? I think that's how it works. Oh, okay. Let me go do that offline. CMC little props, there it is. Very cool. Haha. Just want to make sure where I'm installing that to public documents, my DAS 3D library. Perfect. Let's go and put that there. Done. See how Carrara can pick that up. That's in content. I may have to just go, this is my DAS 3D library here. It's not smart content, so we have both, but in my case, it'll just be content. And well, I have two things. One's the runtime and one's the actual library, which is the thing that that's kind of the DAS content, whereas the runtime is this folder structure for Poser. And I could use both, but I'll just use the runtime. Just let me dig out where that might be. You can even zoom in here. CMC, I like it. Headphones, rubber duck. There we go. Woohoo! Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh, well, first of all, put the playhead on the first frame. Go drag rubber ducky in and see what it comes up with. There it is. CMC rubber duck. All right. Well, that looks miles better, Christina. So the colors and the shading, that's now set up for DAS rather than for Carrara. So there may be something around the eyes that we hadn't quite anticipated. Because I would imagine in that studio, this is all yellow around here, right? Oh, used an alpha, right. So I may have to just set that up in the shader. I just need to tell Carrara what's going on there. I'm sure it'll understand that. I just need to play with the material. Let me go and put it into the position of the other duck. So this duck, oh come on, this duck and that duck, frame that up. Now we have 2 rubber ducks. Oops. Oh, I wasn't on the first frame of vision. Oh, what a shame. Well, no worries, that's easily tweakable. Just by deleting that keyframe and just moving the keyframe that I have accidentally set up to the beginning. And then we have it more or less in the correct position. Oops. Yeah, I think the previous duck was a little bit large, so I'm just going to go set that up a little bit smaller, and I'll mimic the movements in a moment. I think we'll go and save it here, and then I'll take a look at the material, so we'll see. Yeah, let's go and hide the other duck. And then we'll go animate it in a moment. I'll just go and focus on the materials here, see if we can render it properly. Actually, I might set up a new camera for this. Save all internally. Yes, new camera. So conical camera. Was that it? Insert conical camera. Where is it? Conical. There we go. And conical is now here. So we'll call that one. We'll call that one Ducky Cam. I like that. And in Ducky Cam, what are we actually looking at in Ducky Cam now? Where is the rest of the world? I should have maybe just copied my regular camera. Yes, I think I might just do that. So go delete that and use my regular camera and then just go and duplicate that. And this is now going to be my ducky cam. And I'll just do that so that it doesn't matter what I do with the keyframes. I'm just gonna be on the first keyframe, and then right on here I can go and zoom in on the duck with the camera there. Just so that I get a bit of a... Really, those are the only two choices. I can't go just back a little bit. That's not possible. That should work. That should work. Let's go render this just to get an impression of what it looks like. Current frame. All right, let's see if I can so the render looks exactly like the previews. That's nice. I'm happy with the materials. I just want to work on this alpha here and see if I can work out how to do that. So that's got to be this. Well, I would imagine it's just the alpha that we need to set up properly then. So I'll go with texture map, I guess. And I'll say... Should I be able to pick something up that's already in here? Like rubber duck eye? How do I find it? How can I copy one onto another? That's got to be possible. Same here. I'm not familiar with that. Is there a special alpha map available with your product that I just navigate to, or is it a different one? Is it already on the? It's a different alpha map rather. So there's a texture and there's an alpha map, right? I would imagine. That is something I can probably navigate to under Documents, my -3D library, and then we just go into Props, CMC Rubber Duck, Material. That's the default material. High opacity, right? And that's not in here. That's probably under. Is it under runtime textures? Yeah, I've got you. Textures, CMC, haha. This is so cool because, you know, great minds think alike. There we go, rubber duck eye opacity. You just say open, please choose the PNG, yes. And that, oh man, I've just changed the texture map. I meant to put that in the alpha map. Well, let's just quickly bring that back. That's the alpha. And this should be the eye. Ta-da! Fixed it! Give myself a round of applause. That's cool. I've never done this before in Carrara. That's quite exciting. That was easy, wasn't it? That was really easy. Ooh, I like it. Let's get animating. Nice one. Yeah, I need to set my applause board up. Every once in a while, I like these sound effects if I don't go overboard with them. But it's also nice to cue things like, I don't know, funny stuff. And it's a tad tricky to get wiring up. There's always Steve knows audio is always a bit of an issue. So let's go back to my director's camera. Steve, I didn't have a chance to listen to your new and improved audio yet, by the way. And now we've got these two cameras. Where's the rubber duck? These are the lights, so one's from the top, one's from the bottom. I've tweaked both of those a little bit to get that effect. And here you can see the plane rotating. And because of its rotation, we see the water effect moving like underwater. So the light shines onto this plane here. The plane has refraction ripples on it, and that then casts these underwater kind of diffuse things that we see when we're in a swimming pool and the sun shines on it, and that's what's causing that. And before I rotated the plane, it just wasn't, they were not moving at all. So I think in my original animation that's currently in the holding loop, I just moved this plane from left to right rather than rotating it. So I'll see if I tweak that, just so that it's not too repetitive. Maybe I can rotate it, but just a little bit, and then also move the plane. We'll work on that. But for now, we'll go and have a look at that little duck and its movement. So I might just go and look through the camera here large. I could have sworn I said to the other duck, I said, disappear, I said. There. It's no longer visible. It may just be because that's now set a keyframe on that visibility slider, and on this keyframe is actually coming back. That might be what it is, or it might also be the ducky cam that's in the way now. Let me go and get rid of that. Yeah, there we go. I just couldn't see it. That's probably what it was. Yes, and just like I suspected, at this keyframe, the property of the duck being visible just disappears, which is fair enough. Let me see what the final position of that duck is. And just go and put Christina's duck into the same position. So from here, first I put one keyframe here. I think I'll do that as well, just because that's the starting position. Add that keyframe to Christina's duck. Then go to the next keyframe, which is that duck in that place. It's actually really nice that we have a second. Oops. I accidentally moved the real camera. I didn't mean to do that. It's actually really nice that we have another duck to set up, because I can show you the oscillation animation that I did there. So these ducks now should travel into the same direction. That's nice. So I can now go and make that initial duck invisible on every keyframe, like here. And also here. Oh, that's still invisible. Cool, perfect. So now we just have Christina's duck. But that duck isn't currently moving. So what is moving is the cage underneath it, but that's only because I've got the other duck selected still. I didn't want to delete it. So we can see it moves in a linear fashion. It just goes from here to there, and I think the timing is quite nice. Maybe we can make it a bit slower. That's certainly possible. We can do that. Yeah, like this keyframe, we could have another one about here. I don't need for that duck to move all this way. It is animating, but it doesn't really have to do that. So I'll go and get rid of this. Have that duck stay in the same position. So it goes from here to there. And on this keyframe, on the first keyframe of the duck, I might just turn it. I might just turn it a little bit to over here. Why doesn't that work? I know that's a Carrara thing. Sometimes the top level thing isn't. Oh, that's the wrong duck, isn't it? There we go. That's the duck in question. Sorry, this is the duck in question. We just move this guy to the left a little bit. In fact, he can just stay like that. And on the last keyframe, we'll move him to the right a little bit. That's how we do it. So he's now still looking in the same direction, but because we're now here, I'll go and move him. Man. Move him looking. Why can't I do this? Move him that way is what I'm trying to say. So now he goes and just looks from here over to the left. He only does that once. But if I go and apply that in here, that oscillation tweener again, that was applied to the whole thing. I don't want to do that. I just want to go and open up the rotation here. That's the tweener I'd like to change. So the tweener going from left to right shouldn't oscillate, but the one that rotates him from looking left to right, that's the one I want to change. So that should do that. Now he does this. And maybe that's a little bit too much, even though it looks kind of comical when he does that. That is exactly what we're doing, yes. If I want him to move more often, I can change the number of oscillations. So perhaps I'll make that, I don't know, 5. That's also cute. I may make him move a little bit slower, just so that he's in vision longer, because I do actually like that. And maybe so if he's now turning, not so much the amount of times he's rotating, but if he's turning his head too much, I can just go to the last keyframe and go and make sure he doesn't turn his head quite so much. That is also possible. Like do that. I think that was actually the wrong rotational axis. Yeah, so it's Z that I want to tweak. Z is this, so I'll go and tweak it that way a little bit. See what that does. And now he moves a little bit slower, or a little bit less exaggerated. I like that. I like that. Maybe the number of oscillations, I'll tone that down as well. It's just, that's maybe a little bit more natural. So what does it look like with the duck in vision then? Let's see if it's rendering. Oh, that's rendering the wrong camera, isn't it? So yeah, we're still rendering ducky cam. Let's go and render camera 1 instead. Oh, and how interesting that we don't see the effect of the applied alpha. I wonder if that has to do with with the fact that shaders in Carrara can be animated. And I'm pretty sure that this is maybe related to the fact that I've had the keyframe on the wrong frame. So that's probably just a keyframe adjustment. I wonder. Let's investigate. Master shaders. What's the rubber duck shader called? That was just called eyes. Eyes, there we go. No, eyes doesn't have anything animated. Alpha has a texture map. And in the preview, we can see that the eyes look okay. So I don't really know why Carrara would do that. To be honest, it could be related to just we should just maybe just restart Carrara. That's possible. That really just clears it up. That's very, very possible. Because the preview at that point looks okay, so I don't really know. I don't think I know too much about Carrara shaders, I'm afraid. So I can't really explain that. What else might be affected there? It could be that the eye is okay, but the actual body at that point is what needs a tweak. Yeah, the body shader here as such. Source 1 and source 2. Do we need the same alpha map here? We don't really, do we? It's just on the eye. We don't need a texture map on the alpha here, I would imagine. Oh, maybe we need to say alpha only instead of color and alpha, just on the eye shader. Only on the eye. Yeah, that makes sense, Christina. Let's see if that does the trick. Have you animated it? No, good stuff. It's not animated. That. See if that did the trick. Maybe that was all that was necessary. No. What a shame. Well, then I don't really know. You can try to invert the color. That's always fun. See if that works. Seems to be okay in the preview. And in the real render, it doesn't seem to make a difference. What I can't get over is that the preview looks okay, but the render doesn't. So there's something else going on that I don't understand about Carrara shaders. But I don't know much about Carrara shaders, so it could well be that there's a perfectly healthy explanation for it. I just can't see it. Pre-multiplied alpha, maybe? Nah. Well, I'll read up on shaders and I'll see if I can fix that. And if we can't fix it, it's got to be really simple thing here. But I know enough. I don't know enough about Carrara shader to. There's nothing jumping out at me. I'm sure we'll work it out. Let me go and have a crack at getting the keyframes rid of the ball, the first ones, and just using mine with the interpolation, and then we'll fix the movement of the plane, and then we'll see what happens next. So the ball first. Director's camera. Ball is called the sphere. And the keyframes in question are at the very beginning here. Let's close shaders down. Soundtrack, scene effects, we don't have on any of that. So it's just the sphere here. And so these keyframes at the front, this is what was already here. So I think I'm just going to go start with this keyframe here, with the first one. Well, sorry, with the third one, and I'll just go and delete this one and that one, and then I'll just move this one over here. So that kind of moves the ball that way. I think I would also like to move it in kind of in this axis. I'd like for him to spin a little bit, and I'd also like for him to move from further up, slightly further down. So that is also something I like to do. I like this movement, and I think I'm going to go for a bobbing more movement as well. Let's get the position right first of all. Maybe with the inset camera again. That's kind of nice here. So with the position, we'll start here, and then we'll magically kind of move over down here. You know, further down even. Let's go and have the ball roll over here. Oh no, that was the wrong keyframe, wasn't it? It was supposed to be here. There. Do that. I might actually just look at the regular camera here. So now he moves like that. So then that rotation around his, I would imagine, Z-axis. I don't want that to oscillate. I want that to just go and slowly turn. So I'll find the Z-axis rotation and just tell that tweener to be in rotation. Tell that tweener to be a Bezier rather than oscillate. Now, I wonder if I can set it to different interpolation times on different axes. Do you think that's possible? That'd be kind of mega crazy. I can only set it for the whole rotation here, I think, but not for a particular axis. Or can I? That would be seriously cool. I don't see that. Yeah, I don't see particular axes here. I can do it for position, which is nice. So I can go and make it bob up and down with the oscillation, or maybe even with the random one. I might try that. On the last keyframe here, there we go, in the sphere, and just see if I can bob him down a bit more. So that just dunks him into the water over a variety of frames. But if I go and set him to noise, that'd be kind of cool. What does the noise do? Not noise. No. That's not what we want. Sorry, that's not the noise tweener. And there we go. On the position we have it. On position we can say X, Y, and Z. What do we? Which of these would we like to change? And I want to change the Z-axis tweener. I was thinking to put that to maybe try the noise one. So that kind of makes him. Oh no, that's what are you doing there? That's not what we want. Z-axis tweener, this is the one. Put that to noise. And that makes the ball bob up and down kind of randomly. I don't know how natural that looks. I'm trying to play this thing back faster as well. It doesn't quite let me do that. Maybe bobbing that randomly isn't quite a good idea. Maybe I'll go and let it do it with the oscillation instead. Steampunk Belladonna, thank you so much for joining us. More playing with tweeners and all that. Let me try oscillating and we'll go for a bit more. And that would just go make the ball go up and down. Now that's how it works. Oh, there's the other one was bounce. No. Which one was it? There was oscillate, but there was the one that goes. I think it was oscillate. It was just a different type of. The thing that starts high and then goes like this, over time. Which one was that again? Pretty sure we saw that yesterday. Was it there we go, dampening. That was it. Haha. So it starts with more bounces than it ends. Only very subtle, but I like the idea of doing it that way. I think I like that. Let's go save it. And then have a look at that plane. And then I guess I'll go and have a look how I can fix the duck shader for Carrara. I mean, the good thing is we still have the other duck, so I can render it out with that, so that we have something to look at tomorrow, and then we can see how we can fix the duck. There's got to be a reasonable explanation for that. I'll show you in a moment, Steampunk Belladonna, what the issue is. In fact, let's just go quickly review where we are so far with the animation. I have two of them. The first one is actually, let's look at the first one. Let's look at the first one that we had watched at the beginning of the stream. This is the first version I've rendered out literally yesterday after the stream. And that was the one where the logo didn't have any colors and it doesn't play back as fast as I wanted it to. And this is something I've already tweaked. So I've added like the speed, corrected the speed, added the colors to the logo, and I've made the ball move a little bit more. And this corner at the bottom right that sometimes goes dark, that's the one fixed as well. That was in fact the light underneath it. V3. So this is the version that now has the colored logo, and it has the kind of correct speed. This is how I can see this working in the intro loop. And the ball moves a little bit. And check it out, exciting stuff. The duck comes in and swims with us. And this is the duck that you may know. It's the duck from Carrara itself, from the kind of asset collection. And Christina says, hey, I've got a much better duck. Why don't we use that? And I thought, that's a great idea. So Christina gave me her duck. It's a little Patreon freebie on her 3D Scrutiny Patreon campaign. And her duck looks just much nicer than this duck. And the only issue is that her duck doesn't have the Carrara shader. She made it for DAZ Studio. So that's why the eyes looked, there was just the alpha map wasn't applied. So we'll look at this in a moment. I've applied it and the preview looks nice, but the render doesn't. So I don't know much about Carrara shader, so we'll go have to figure this out. So other than the duck, there is oh, Sari Dairy. Thank you so much for your subscription. I really appreciate that. Very cool. Thank you. The other thing I'd like to change is the background. So the background is this plane that puts these refractions on. I want to make that a bit slower, turning a bit slower, and also make it more move from left to right. And that's the last thing I'm going to look at. And the shader issue, I'll show you. Maybe you have a solution to that. As a fellow Carrara enthusiast, maybe you can shed light on that. Oh, only the headphones. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know. It just said Patreon freebie. I thought it was already on Patreon. So let's deal with the plane first. Rectify the plane first, which I've just called water. This is it. And it's currently doing this. And I think it works okay, but it's also doing a bit much. So I'm thinking the whole rotation, I'll just dim that down a little bit. Motion, there we go. So what we're looking at is the Z rotation, and it does that for 180 degrees. So perhaps that's a bit much. Maybe we'll go from 180 to more to -90 then. Halving that. So it's a more subtle effect then. But other than that, I want to see what happens if we can we move that? I'll just move it from here. That's the frame, the first frame. Let's look at that, see if it's all still working there. It's still a recognizable water effect, that's nice. So then on the last frame, I'll go and have that move over here. Let's see if that also is still a recognizable effect. And it is, that's perfect. That's all I needed to know. So that movement now does this. What does it look like in the middle? Nice. So now just the water is just gonna move these spots in the water. They're just gonna move a little bit with, as if there's a slight current in whatever we're currently watching. No, very good point. Very good point. Yeah, I think maybe there's just much more that we need to do to the duck shader, and let's spend some time on this now. See if you can work it out. So I think the animation on the whole is nice. I like it. I'll go and save that now. and then we'll just open the duck up in another Carrara instance and see if we can work it out. There are texture maps. I can just go leave that open. That's very nice about Carrara. And we'll start with an empty scene and bring that in from the browser. There it is, CMC rubber duck. Woohoo! And rubber duck is here. This is what rubber duck looks like at the moment. Oops. And the light is usually a bit, it's just a bit, the default Carrara light, it looks like this. And blimey, governor! Didn't we bring this duck in exactly like that in my scene? Isn't that exactly how we brought in the duck? And we had issues with the eyes, and we no longer do that. Is it then, this is interesting. Does it have something to do with the caustics? If I bring up caustics, no. Is it the indirect light? Is it full ray tracing? Is that what causes it? No. Dun, dun, dun. But then, is it the indirect light and the caustics? Because we're having all that in the... No, it's also not that. Why? That's crazy. Very interesting. Yeah, so saturation, I mean, that's an easy fix. See, this is more what our duck looks like in the water scene. But it looks, in the preview, it looks fine. It's just that in the animation, it doesn't. I have a feeling perhaps it's just Carrara not coping very well. Let me just go and just restart Carrara. How's that? Let me just go restart Carrara. Sometimes it's just as easy as that. Just restart it, reload the object and see what happens then. Riddle me this, Batman, absolutely. Ducky cam, here's the duck. This is the director's camera. So Christina's duck looks like that, just like what we've just seen there. That's all good. But if we go and bring up this, I'll just go and fast forward to the duck being in vision. Oh my god, oh dear. There. When the duck is in vision about here, and if I go and render this frame out, current frame, like so, we see that the duck's eyes are dark. I mean, you know, with that thing, but in the preview, it looks okay. So I don't really know what to make of that. Of course, fix dinner, Joe, absolutely. Absolutely, no, you must fix dinner. That's very important. We're going to fix dinner in a moment as well. So I can already see here in this preview, oh, maybe that's just that. Okay, so that's just the preview. That's why the preview is different. But what I can't figure out is why this isn't rendering like that. Whereas when we go and create a brand new scene and we bring in the same rubber duck, under props, CMC, sunglasses, rubber duck. Ding. I like the thumbnail, Christina. It's just, there's just something really funny about that thumbnail. And don't ask me what it is. I can't tell you. It's just I just like it. It's very nice. So okay, so one mystery is solved. This looks like that because we've got different viewport thing going. But now my duck looks like that, and really, when I render it, the duck looks like that. Brian! Very good to see you. Hey, you know, while I have you, it's you just reminded me of something, and I think I have the solution to our puzzle here, by the way, just on the separate thread in my multi-dimensional brain. It's just come to me what's happened here. And I'll tell you that in a minute, but I'll tell you something different right now, and that is that now that Brian's here, I've managed to work out how we can do movie night on Discord. We've planned this a while ago, and there's this old German science fiction movie that I said we could perhaps watch, and I've worked out how to do this. So let's make a date and watch it together. We can watch it on Discord. There's no recording of it. We don't have to go to YouTube or something. We don't have to do this illegally. This is basically like bringing friends round to your house, and it's limited to 10 people only. That's the key. I think that's why Discord have implemented that way. That if you do something on Discord, that you do stream, it's more like a group phone call. And you don't broadcast to a group of people publicly. You do this in the privacy of your own home. So if you want to do that, let me know when, and we can watch Rainer Werner Fassbinder's Welt am Draht, aka World on a Wire. It's a good movie. It's a very good movie. It's kind of, you know, computer simulated reality type thing. It's very cool, very cool. Let's make a date, my friends. While we continue to work out the duck shader situation. I know what's happened. I have a theory. When I loaded my duck in my animated scene, this is what it looked like, and we all panicked and instantly tried to fix it. And we did this by going into the shader, and then I applied, well, that's actually not the right shader here, but if I were to go into the correct eye shader, we went into here and we applied the alpha map that Christina's supplied. But I now have a feeling that's actually what broke it in the render. It made it look okay in the preview, but then it broke it in the render. I have a feeling. So if we go, this is now the preview like that. If I go and just undo what I did there in the eye shader and just apply none here, then the preview is screwed, but we don't really care about the preview. We only care about the final duck result. Let's see what that looks like. It looks the same. Oh man, that's disappointing, isn't it? Did that make sense to you? It made sense to me there for a second. What else did we do? Did we do anything on the body? No, it was just the eyes here. Yes, just the eyes. I mean, I could go and just drag in another duck and see what that looks like. Duck 2. Where's duck 2? Duck 2's here. Duck 2 is also broken, that's cool. With my ducky cam, I can go and look at the other duck. Here it is. What happens if we render the ducky cam? Oops. That duck looks okay. That's weirding me out right there. You know what I'm saying? So if I were to go and now just like I am, I'm just gonna go and have a look at both these ducks. And just go line up the old duck. I'll just call that new CMC rubber duck. I'll go and put that into its correct place here. No, that's too far. That's too far. That's too far. Are we also on frame 1 or are we on frame somewhere else? No, frame 1. That's good. It's too big, man. It's too big. Good thing is animating ducks is quite fast, so it's only going to take a moment. And once we've done it, we can even duplicate the duck and have a whole swarm of ducks swimming around the pond. Oops. There, so perhaps it's slightly larger. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. And we'll go and I'll go look through the regular camera with making absolutely sure I'm not gonna go and move it. New rubber duck gets a keyframe, and on the last keyframe, that's where we're just gonna go move new rubber duck to. Down here, and then new rubber duck also looks this way, and that gives that little oscillation. So now you guys, oh yeah, and of course I forgot the other keyframe, no problem. The keyframe right here, a new rubber duck needs a keyframe there, I take it. It already has one. Yeah, well, so at that point, new rubber duck doesn't need a keyframe. That was wrong. Something went wrong here. New rubber duck, regular rubber duck. Why does regular rubber duck no longer swim with us? What's going down here? There we go. So the first keyframe is correct. The second keyframe needs to be here with new rubber duck. And really this is that keyframe, isn't it? That's where I need that keyframe, really. Yes, that's where I need that. And the last keyframe, really, I need that here. Perfect. Whew. Okay, so then with this duck on that keyframe, we're going to make him invisible. Next keyframe, that's not actually the duck's keyframe, that keyframe, he's also going to be invisible there. So now we no longer have that duck, but we have this duck. This duck's now moving in a linear fashion. So we'll go and do the oscillating tweener thing again, I guess. On the rotation here. Oscillate, I think, was it about 5 that we said? And now he's wiggling his thing. That's perfect. Other rubber duck hasn't quite disappeared. I don't know why. There's something else about the duck. But I think once we're happy that this duck is no longer needed, I think I might just go and delete it. It's the warp drive duck, man. I think I'm gonna go and save the scene as underwater number 8. And with it saved, I'll just delete the superfluous rubber duck, the second rubber duck, so that we can then deal with the third rubber duck. So new rubber duck stays in place. This one just goes away. And now preview's broken. That's cool. Let's see what the real render looks like. Come on. That's clever, isn't it? It's in there, but we're not quite seeing the result. You have to laugh. Come on. Duck eyes. Duck eyes are still screwed. How much sense does that make? Well, with this unsolvable puzzle, I might have to say goodbye because I can't solve this. I don't know what it is with the duck shader. It's all ducked up, that's what it is. It's totally ducked up. The thing I can do though is definitely turn the saturation down. So that's no problem. So that's on the body. There's body and body 1. I don't actually know. There's something where we can delete shaders we're no longer using, like clear out shaders we're no longer using. I've forgotten how that works, but there is a way to do it. Where was that again? Was it under edit? Remove unused shaders. There we go. Remove unused shaders. Boom. That's good. So we now use body 1. That's good to know. So double click that to edit that. And I'm thinking, since they're just that's a texture and that is a color. If I drop that down to 0, let's see what the effect of that is. So that we only see the duck color. Yeah, that's a bit dull. So I can just go back on that a little bit. So maybe make it 40, and then these things. Why would that happen? No. That is incorrect. That was yellow a minute ago. All I did was mess with the saturation. Crazy stuff. Hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'll just go close this and not save the scene. Now we've got a red duck. That's crazy. We don't want to do that. Well, friends, I don't know what's going on with the shader, but I'll have a good look into that. Maybe I can fix it. There's got to be a fix for that. It certainly doesn't make sense that when I load it in, it looks good, and when I load it into my scene, then the eyes no longer look good. What's going on with that? But I know not enough about Carrara shaders at this point to make a judgment call on that. I'll go and fix it. If I can fix it, then we'll use Christina's duck. If I can't fix it, we'll use the other duck, which is still available. And, you know, since it's only on screen about 1 second, I don't think it's going to be that big an issue. I'll see what I can do. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this spontaneous, what is it, Monday, Tuesday evening stream. I'm working tomorrow, won't be here tomorrow, but I might be back on Thursday with some more schnick, schnack, and shenanigans. Thank you so much for dropping by. Take care and have a good night. Bye-bye.